Hello, and welcome to another week and the last full week of the month. Hope you had a nice weekend. So welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufas Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So I'd like to begin with a mic test. So if you can hear me clearly, you can just type hi on the live comment section, and this will confirm that everything is working just fine. So hello, Mercy. Hello, Evans. Thank you for joining the session. Awesome. So on this week, there's quite a number of things we'll be expecting. I will try and highlight the key things. So the number one on that list is Nvidia earnings. So Nvidia has been one of the best performing companies in the market so far since the beginning of the year. So if you look at the performance of the stock, you'd notice it's almost an upward trajectory since the beginning of the year. It's up 202% year to date. So it's bound to announce its earnings this week on Wednesday at market close. So from the earnings report, we should be expecting to see some form of volatility coming in with Nvidia. So it's also one of the newest companies to hit the 1 trillion club. So when you talk about companies that have hit the 1 trillion club, it's only a small number, which is under 10. Basically, we're talking about Apple, we're talking about Apple, Amazon, we have Saudi Aramco, and now we are looking at Nvidia. So that would be an interesting watch for the week. And of course, there's more stuff that is happening in the week. So the other key focus will be on Jerome Powell's speech on the Jackson Hole Symposium on Friday. So, so remember, the Jackson Hole Symposium basically starts on Thursday. So it's an annual event where basically the top central bankers from around the world will be meeting in Wyoming. So they tend to discuss economic policy, and the key attendees tend to cause some volatility in the markets. And this year we expect the same. So the theme of the event this time, from August 24 to August 26, is structural shifts in the global economy. And this will basically see quite a number of central bankers presenting speeches. I think the most important one will be the one from Jerome Powell, which will be happening on Friday. So you can already see it's scheduled here at Friday at 5:05 p.m. So other central bankers will also be presenting. For instance, you can see Christine Lagarde, who is the ECB chair, will also be presenting at 10 p.m. on Friday. So it's the key focus in the market this week. So besides these, we don't have any major news. Today, early in the morning, at 4:15 a.m., we had a surprise rate cut by China on the 1-year loan prime rate from the previous 3.55% to 3.45%, but also it missed the expectation of 3.40%. So for the 5-year prime rate remains the same at 4.2%. So besides that, we don't have any major news happening in the day. So more news will be expected from tomorrow. We'll be looking at the Bank of Japan core CPI, or basically the inflation rate in Japan. There will be a BRICS summit in South Africa, and it's starting on Tuesday. That will be day one. That also is expected to have some fireworks in the markets. Then we'll be having a couple of speeches from FOMC members. This is FOMC member Goolsbee, who will be delivering welcoming remarks at a Fed recent event hosted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. So more speeches from FOMC member Bauman and FOMC member Goolsbee. So this is on Tuesday in the afternoon, in the evening, sorry, from 9:30 p.m. through to 10:30 p.m. We'll be having 3 speeches. Then on Wednesday, we'll be looking at the SP Global Flash Manufacturing PMI for the Eurozone. We'll be looking at the Flash Services PMI for the Eurozone. The total data will be released at 11 a.m. on Wednesday. The BRICS Summit continues for the second day. We get Manufacturing and Services PMI for the UK, Of course, the same data for the US at 4:45 p.m. Then also we'll be looking at Canadian retail sales as well as core retail sales before we end the day with new home sales data in the US at 5 p.m. So the BRICS summit will continue on day 3 on Thursday. And this is when the Jackson Hole symposium will be starting. And we'll also be looking at the unemployment claims in the US, which is a weekly data point. Then German IFO business climate survey will be released on Friday at exactly 11 a.m. And then we follow through with a revised University of Michigan consumer sentiment survey. So clearly, a majority of the news this week will be speeches. So make sure that you are ready to listen in on the speeches, and hopefully we get to identify some trading opportunities. So besides this, I don't think there's any major news. China surprises the market with a modest rate cut. Then there's the issue of oil. Oil started on the week very well. So oil rises on lower OPEC plus exports in August. So we had lower exports from the OPEC countries. Besides that, I don't think we have any major news influencing the markets. So on the technical side, we'll try and understand key things that happened over the last couple of weeks and try to identify some trading opportunities. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to type them and I'll be responding to them in the live comment section. So hi, Joseph. I can see young CEOs Kenya, Matilda, Kevin, Kazadi, and Stone X. Annette. Welcome, Annette. Can see Philip, Ghetto President, Elvis, and Edwin Otori. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the session. So first things first, if you look at the dollar index, you can see that it's trading within a triangle. This is the perfect or the book definition of what we describe as consolidation. So this market is neither moving up or down. It's basically consolidating. So what we can say is that for the last 4 days, the average movement of the dollar index has been just following this path, which is more of a sideways momentum. So whenever you see this happening, we know that it's in preparation for some form of breakout. So we know that this week it's in order to be expecting some form of breakout, which would represent a trading opportunity for the technical traders. So the dollar index could break out upwards or downwards. If it breaks downwards, meaning that the dollar is weakening, then we look for stronger pairs to go for with the dollar. If it breaks outwards, then it will imply a very strong dollar. So in that case, we look for pairs to trade with a stronger dollar. In this case, weaker currencies. So knowing that, if you look at the pound USD, we completed this double bottom formation, but still the market has maintained sideways momentum. So for the last 3 weeks, the pound USD has just been moving sideways. So if you take a closer look, you'll notice that the last couple of days, we didn't have much of a momentum, which basically implies that this market is basically consolidating. So this is how it's looking like. Market is just oscillating between the two trend lines and hasn't made a breakout yet. So we'll be observing to see if there's some form of breakout, which would be presenting an opportunity. Euro USD is bouncing on very well. You can see that it was trading within this triangle, attempting to break this particular trend line for quite a period of time. But now we can see it's clearly broken towards the upper side. So even if we tilt the trend line, eventually you can see that the market has headed higher. And now we could, it's safe to assume that the Euro USD is now headed higher. And now we might consider this area here, which was the bottom 2 weeks ago, to be a nice target for today, expecting that the market will continue to rally upwards. So it's the same case for pound USD. I also expect to see some further upside as the market looks to test this area here. So I'll just monitor this area here to see if something happens. So we can see on the 15-minute chart, there's some form of trend line appearing around here. So if the market was to break this trend line, then it would present a momentum upwards. So we've seen Euro USD, USD Yen. We were waiting for this pullback for a while. So it happened on Thursday and Friday, and now you can see the market is making a recovery. So it has remained the same story, where the Bank of Japan has been weakening the currency, and the Fed, or the Federal Reserve Bank of the US, has been strengthening the currency through the rate hikes. So in this case, I expect a continuation of the momentum upwards. So the pullback was very much welcome to continue trading higher. So the immediate target, of course, is the previous high. So you can always map this area here and use it as a target. So this is 146.5 Japanese yen per dollar. So USD CAD are still experiencing some strong momentum on this bullish channel. So I believe this has been the channel determining the momentum. Now you can see every time the market gets to this trend line, has most of the time found support and continued trading higher. So I don't know if we have hit an extreme level where the market would change direction. The last time the market was here, it pulled back downwards and then continued higher. But now you can see the momentum has been consistently higher, especially on the daily. So we have had consecutive days where the dollar has been gaining against the Canadian dollar. So in this case, I don't know if it's time yet to go for short selling positions. So it's a wait and see kind of scenario where you wait, and then if there's a clean break, then you go for a short selling trade. But then if the dollar remains resilient and bounces off this level, then we continue trading higher. So I think it's a key interesting price level to watch, especially at the top of the hour once the 1 hour candlestick closes. So as for gold, we saw it breaking lower and lower. So our initial theory last week was that gold would eventually find some form of support and then start trading higher, but then it kept breaking lower and lower, and this is what we ended up with from last week. So what I would say is that this is no longer valid because it was broken. So what we are seeing here is gold forming this particular trend line. And I'm sure it's clear for everyone now. You can see the trend line that gold has been following. That has been acting as the resistance. And now, just a moment. We know that the more a trend line has been tested, the higher the chances that it will break. So in this case, we know that gold will eventually break this particular trend line. We just don't know when or how. So what we do here in this case, just remain patient. You can already see some signs of weakness in this chart, where in the last momentum downwards, which was early this morning, gold was unable to form a lower low. So the low that we saw today compared to Friday and Thursday seems to be the same. Like the market was unable to form a lower low. So the entire essence of this particular channel is to show you the overall trend. And this can be determined by looking at the sequence of highs. So from this high to the next high, they keep getting lower. So you are getting a sequence of lower highs. So if you look at the lows, to the next low, the lows keep getting lower and lower and lower. But then this one strikes a nerve. This is where you start seeing this weakness in this trend because the market was unable to form a lower low. So this creates the potential that the market could break towards the upper side. So if we keep seeing evidence of bullish entry, then this is the area to watch and then see if there's some form of breakout here. So if gold breaks out, let's say above 1892, then it could be a sign that the market has changed direction. And now the long-awaited bullish momentum would eventually kick in. So this would be synonymous with a weak dollar. So if there's a break towards the lower side, we have a weaker dollar. Remember the gold is valued in dollars, then you could be seeing the price of gold jump higher on this particular pattern. So in this case, potentially a break would see a very strong rally in gold, perhaps getting us back above 1900 and eventually potentially moving to 1914 or even all the way up to 1929. So I expect some form of action to be happening around this area. So for AUD-USD, clearly a consolidation. Market seems to be trading on low volume. You can see up, down movements. but no break yet. So we just have to be patient and wait for the eventual break, which would present a trading opportunity. And of course, we acknowledge that the market is just bouncing from the upper trend line. So in this case, we can also see that there's a strong correlation between gold and AUD/USD. So while there was this bearish channel, the market was unable to form lower lows. So the low that we saw on Friday compared to the low on Thursday, it's a little bit higher, but yet in a consolidation. So potentially we could be seeing some similar movement with what happens in gold. So the NASDAQ 100 or the US Tech 100 index made a third consecutive week bearish momentum. So first week here, second week, and then the third week. And then towards the end of last week, which was Friday, we saw the market forming a recovery, and today it seems to be continuing that recovery. So yes, it's well within expectations to see these equity markets attempt to make a recovery, but the long-term momentum seems to be bearish. So personally, I think if the market makes a run for it, then I'll be looking for more short selling positions after we saw the weakness happening over the last 3 weeks. So in this case, I'll just be patient and then look for another short selling entry. And it's the same thing for US 30. And of course, the same thing for the S&P 500. So you can already see the market retesting this area here. If it finds resistance, then we keep going downwards. So same case for SP 500. Yes, it was overextended on Friday. So it's making a run for it, but eventually bears will be catching up once it gets to the resistance zones. So for UK oil, we had a break downwards. So the overall channel was a sequence of about 8-9 weeks moving upwards. So last week we had a fast bearish week, but then this week you can see how strongly the markets are reacting to that. So a very strong reaction here. We are seeing prices moving higher. So potentially, especially considering the key events happening with the BRICS, the Jackson Hole, then in this case, we could be seeing some further upside. So from the article I just showed you guys, I'll try and share this. Oil rises on lower OPEC exports in August. I'll be sharing this with you. So when you have some time, you can go through it. Yes, so we have also had a very strong start of the week from European equity indices. The French 40 started with a very strong jump upwards. The European Euro 50 cash index or the Euro stocks also jumped higher in the last 1 hour. And also, if you look at the UK 100, a big jump higher. So I expect to see this continued momentum for the day. So perhaps this is the day we finally see the European equity indices continue to recover from last week's big sell-off. So a big jump downwards on Bitcoin over the weekend, kept attempting to move lower, but somehow it has maintained a key support around 26,000. So there is a good chance we could be seeing the correlation continue, where we are seeing very weak US equity indices. That is S&P 500 and the NASDAQ dropping for 3 consecutive weeks. And now we are seeing also Bitcoin moving down lower. So this correlation could continue. We could be seeing some further downside pressure on Bitcoin prices. So technically, I expect the market to at least retest this low here. And we are already seeing this happening. So we just have to monitor the price action and observe for when there's another break downwards. So that's it for the day. I'll be checking if you guys have any questions. Yeah, DXY has broken to the lower side. Let's see. I wouldn't say it has broken. Sometimes there's a room for flexibility. So if you just connect this low from this low, this is what we are seeing. If it's a higher time frame, let's say even 4 hour, I wouldn't say that there's a break of that trend line. Even on the longer term trend line on the 4 hour chart, I would say DXY is well within pattern. So that's H4. On H1, this is how it looks like. So this bottom has not been breached yet. So the market is just consolidating for the last 4 days. So in this case, I would expect the market to remain within that until there's something fueling and break on either side. Volatility 75 on MT5 inaitwaje. I keep telling you guys there's VIX, which is basically the volatility index that tracks the S&P 500, but there's no regulated exchange that offers the VIX 75. So it's what we refer to as a synthetic index. They tend to be highly risky and quite unregulated, so they're subject to manipulation. So the only VIX we offer is the volatility index that tracks the S&P 500. Should gold traders be on the lookout for speeches at the BRICS summit? Yes. There's all kinds of volatility could be coming from this summit, especially considering the number of countries that are applying to be a member of the BRICS. So do we count pips in BTC USD? Think about it the same way you trade shares. Yeah. So you think about it the way you trade shares. So yes, we count the prices and of course the pips, but we normally track the values rather than the pips. I want to pick up your mind on oil. From my observation, I'm bullish rally to $90 per barrel. What say you? So it's still a strong call, especially for Brent. So we are at 85, 90 is all the way up. So let's see. Yeah, it's well within limits. I don't think it's that far off. Yeah, so after the strong bullish momentum here, you can see the 2 months where oil was trading sideways, completely unable to break below 72, and then the rally. Yeah, I would agree with you that we could be seeing some further upside. However, the immediate target seems to be just the previous high, which is $87.7 per barrel. Will Friday's speech end the consolidation of GU? I don't know. If I told you I know, I would be lying. So the Friday speech, especially from Christine Lagarde and of course from Jerome Powell, is expected to cause more volatility on Euro USD. But of course, we should be seeing some volatility coming in from other data points, especially the Nvidia earnings, which will be earlier on Wednesday. Oh, I'm seeing this now. DXY on the daily. I don't know if I have the data. Yeah, I would have to use a different chart. All right, last chart of the day will be the Canadian dollar trading against the JPY from Tony. All right, this is not a chart that I've looked at before, but one thing is clear, seems to be on a bullish momentum. I think this was a thing for a while until it was not. There is also this recent high, which was also the high here. Then we look at a smaller time frame, the 4-hour chart. I think there's something going on around this area here. Just don't know what. So it seems like the overall trend or direction is this channel here. So just judging by the swings, swing high, swing high, swing high here, swing low, swing low, swing low here. Seems like it's within expectations to think of this chart as moving along this path. So this seems to be the overall direction. So right now, I think we're on a swing downwards. So the swing hasn't completed yet. So there's still more room for downside, where the Canadian dollar could continue strengthening against the JPY. However, from the way the week is opening, we are seeing momentum moving in the opposite direction. So what I'm looking at here is a market that was literally bullish for like 6 days, traded sideways for 2, and then downwards for 2. Now it's making a recovery, but the overall thinking is that the market is just swinging from the upper trend line towards the lower trend line, and now it's making some form of pullback. I don't know why, but I would be thinking along these lines. So yet, yes, it's not the best point to make a market entry. Of course, the premium points would be on either trend line, let's say on this area or this other area. But for now, it seems like the card is making a run against the Japanese yen. So perhaps going back to retest the upper trend line, even if it did not get to the lower trend line. So yes, for today, it seems bullish, but the premium trading areas would be either this area here. And since I would be bullish on Canadian dollar against the yen, then I would also be looking at this area here. So that's it. Thank you very much, guys. And I hope to see you on the next one. I'm seeing another comment here from Apollo. On DXY, I'm aware that its strength is influenced by monetary policy. However, there's lots of talk of budget deficit and expansionary fiscal policy. Does the latter has any effect on DXY strength? Yes, it has. So what we have been seeing over the year is that the Biden administration has been implementing a very huge deficit budget. So with more and more spending basically hitting the US economy, then it's bound to cause some form of inflation. So that's why from the last Fed meeting minutes, we saw the Fed members being concerned about a second round of inflation. So this second round of inflation is a direct result of the increased deficit spending from the Fed. Sorry, from the Biden administration, not the Fed. Another good comment here from Annette. I thought Euro USD is expected to go down given the ECB CPI data on Friday, and ECB seems to not want to keep increasing rates. Well, the biggest challenge that the Eurozone is facing is currently high prices. And inflation was seen on the jump, moving higher for the US, also moving higher for the Canadian economy. So if we see a second round of inflation, basically inflation moving higher for the Eurozone, then the resultant policy would remain continuing to hike interest rates. And in that case, we would be seeing the euro strengthen against other currencies. So that's why there is a speculation that the inflation number will be worse. And if it's worse, then it could lead to a rally in Euro USD. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Tony, Annette, Apollo, and TraderFX. I hope to see you guys on the next session. So see you tomorrow at exactly 11 a.m.